You get to choose. You get to be with yourself and assess yourself for something you want or don't want. You are that light. You are that vessel that gets to choose to honor the soul that you were given. Life is too short, truthfully, too short to not honor the one person that you were given. You. Hear yourself. Be truthful to your own darkness. Be truthful to your own light because you behold both. There's wisdom in our darkness, there's joy in our light. The wisdom and joy together bring you that higher awareness to keep going. Welcome to another episode from Loneliness to Overflow with Matina. Let's talk about the parts of us that we appreciate and also the parts of us that we actually want to hide, that we don't like, that we pretend are not there. Because the human that you are today is created by all the goods, all the bads, and all the in between parts of you. Yet it's so easy to love the good parts because it's something that other people encourage and celebrate so easily. And it's also so easy to judge ourselves for all the bad parts of ourselves where we make mistakes, where we let go of our own values, where we thought we were in a pattern of life that required us to be something or someone that even though we didn't want to, we still chose it because of the piece of the environment. And that can be in a work situation, it can be in a personal situation, it truly doesn't matter. But we all have these moments where we go through something difficult, where we dismiss our own needs, where we dismiss what actually needs to happen, and then we judge ourselves for it. And I'm talking about two extremes here, right? One is the good parts of us that we love, that we adore, that everyone appraises of and everyone loves you for. And the other part is the parts of us where when we are angry, how we react, when we are upset, how we respond, when we are in despair, the way that we show up. But also when we are not true to ourselves, what then transpires because the environment is requiring a part of us that doesn't feel real. So many of us lose ourselves about and in what the environment requires versus what you require within yourself. And of course, this hustle culture of making it through doesn't truthfully help either because we are always in the chase of the next thing. And in that chase, we are either judging or appreciating parts of ourselves of who we are and what we have inside of us. In truthfully acknowledging all of you, you also question, why did I do this? How did I show up in that way when I actually wanted to go? I was honoring my boss, or I was honoring my friend. I was showing up for her because she or he needed me to, even though deep down inside I was overwhelmed and I couldn't. I pushed that side of myself down so that I could still function and be there for the people that I care and love for. That dismissal, that judgment on ourselves, those are the parts that we hide. Those are the parts that make us behave in certain ways because we are thinking that the environment is requiring it for us and from us. And when the environment requires you to be something or someone that you truthfully are not, and you go along with that for a period of time, you lose a sense of self. I was watching this series, and in this series, it really hit home when they said, I get to love the girl that I was, the girl that I am, and every girl in between. Every situation requires us to show up differently. It requires us to go deep. It requires us to be truthful. It gives us chances to be curious. And when we are curious, not only for another person, but also for yourself, why did I do that? Why and what in me wanted that? How did I create or put myself in this situation which I wasn't ready for? Or why did my dream job take so long and I worked so hard for? In all these elements, it is about honoring you, good of you, the parts that you judge in you, the parts that you dismiss of you. And I'm saying you very loosely. I'm talking as much to myself as I'm talking to you. Every situation requires a different part of us. It requires us to be honest with ourselves and truthfully think about, how did I get here? How did I make this choice? It's not about good or bad here. That's regardless. But it's important too to assess any situation from that lens. In the parts where we don't like the situation, we actually get to learn what we are holding back in ourselves. And in a situation where you do like, you actually get to honor the parts of you that are showing up fully because it's something you desire. So many people do not know what they desire in life. I didn't know what I desired in life. I was led by life. I was told about this magic box where you had to have a good education, a good job, make sure you climb the ladder, make sure you have your good husband, and make sure you have children, the house, the cars, all of it. And now you made it. I lived that life. That life was not fulfilling for me because I was not honoring me. I was not truthful towards myself. And when I started the journey of understanding who I am at my core, now for some people, you can still do this in your relationship. You don't need to go through a divorce. And others, I believe that divorce is that wake up call, is a potential wake up call, I should say. Because many of us, let's be truthful here, still want to put our head in the sand and pretend nothing is wrong and keep going because the other person was to blame. We are enablers ourselves too. There were many different things in my marriage that I evoked and liked, and a lot of different things that I evoked and didn't like. I, however, played an active role in that marriage, and it was also my choice to step out of it because it wasn't serving me. And I needed to honor myself and my children. My wake up call were truthfully my children. As a human myself, I would have probably dismissed my own needs and forsaken all the things that I stand for just to stand by someone and to be able to say I am a good wife. Looking into my children's eyes, I could not do that anymore because I could see how they were being affected by the situation and how we live. Had to assess for myself if I was going to be okay with them growing up in an environment and thinking this is how a happy couple behaves. Because it isn't, and it wasn't. It was a lose-lose situation for me. Staying in the marriage was a lose situation. Stepping out of the marriage was a lose situation. And yet I made the best out of the divorce because I had and gave myself more power to show up fully, to not be put down by the parts of myself that had accepted the behavior of another, to not judge myself for being selfish, for stepping out of a marriage, to not judge myself for wanting better for my children, and in return, actually doing better for myself. So many, when they go through a hard time, continue with holding the backpack of the pain that they felt once. And that backpack on your back is very heavy. It is telling you every day that you're not good enough, that you're not doing enough, that you should do A, B, and C. And put yourself out there because that's what the environment requires. Versus putting that backpack down and being okay by not knowing how that's going to feel. If I don't live with this burden every single day, how will I feel? If I don't have this pain and ache in my heart that I'm familiar with, it hurts, but it's familiar, then what am I going to be left with? And is that whatever that thing is going to be good enough for me that I can say I made the good choice? Because if I didn't make a good choice, now I have to blame myself even more. And we get stuck in this cycle of self blame, self pity. We destroy ourselves. We tell ourselves we are destroying ourselves for someone else. They need us. We tell ourselves this is for our children because they need us. We tell ourselves this is the only job I can have. So we continue to push forward. And all of it, lose a part of yourself. And maybe you're not living according to the standards of life, because the standards of life are you need to have a house, you need to have money in the bank, you need to have these vacations, and you need to be able to have your kids in all of these activities and such. But who determines what you need to have? I had the house, I had the job, I had the kids, I had the husband, I had the cars, I had the vacations, I had it all, but I didn't have myself. So I can love upon that Matina that did her best, put others first, lose parts of herself every day, and then still show up. And I could also love this new Matina who loves herself so deeply and will say, is this in an alignment with me? Am I losing myself or am I gaining something for myself here? And yes, I will continue to make mistakes. And yes, I will continue to learn. But I will choose to put on my curiosity goggles instead of my judgment goggles. I will put on those curiosity goggles to really truthfully see what happened and how I was reacted or responded, or the way that I was in a situation where I got to honor me, or where did I not honor me? And how can I then bring those power back to myself so that I can once again honor me? I will never be able to take that action if I'm putting on the goggles of judgment, because that judgment is going to freeze me. That judgment is going to make me stop and put myself down even more. But with curiosity, I get to be like, oh, that's the pattern. That's how I can make it different for myself. Oh, this is who I truthfully am. I am very mindful of how I show up in different situations. I can be the light of the party. I can drive everything and anyone. And I can be the quiet one in the room because I'm just observing and feeling out if this is truthfully the environment for me. If this is truthfully how I want to live my life. I have patterns that I created, but there are also patterns that are unknown to me, that are subconscious, and that were created when I was a little girl. I bring those patterns together so that I choose better for myself every day because I have the courage to put on the goggles of curiosity. That's a choice. And I compel you to take down the goggles of judgment and put on the curious goggles, because that curiosity is what's going to bring you into new ways of living and being. You get to choose you. You get to be with yourself and assess yourself for something you want or don't want. You are that light. You are that vessel that gets to choose to honor the soul that you were given. I truthfully believe that God gave us a person to take care of from day one, and that's you. You are the caregiver for yourself. But we become the caregiver for everything and everyone else in our environment and dismiss ourselves, dismiss who we feel we actually want to be, need to be. Life is too short, truthfully, too short, to not honor the one person that you are given. You, hear yourself. Be truthful to your own darkness Be truthful to your own light because you behold both. There's wisdom in our darkness, there's joy in our light. The wisdom and joy together bring you that higher awareness to keep going. The grace that we want from others is actually the grace that you want from yourself. So wonderful when someone else acknowledged you. But when was the last time you acknowledged you for you? Not for the thing that you did, not for the way that you're showing up for others, but truthfully for who you are at your core. That core is so unique. That core, there's no one else on this planet that has that core. No one else. You're the only person who can think and act and be in a certain way, in a certain frequency. We can up our frequency or we can lower our frequency based on who we are. When we choose to up our frequency, that and only then do we become the power. Greatness is not something that we seek outside, even though we do seek outside. Greatness is truthfully discovering parts of yourself, the good, the bad, the ugly, and putting a curiosity lens on it, putting love upon it, understanding the choices you're making on a day to day basis and why that is. What is keeping you in a certain dynamic that's not healthy because that backpack, that heaviness is so comfortable because we're used to it. And the uncertainty of when we put it down, what is left is too big of a gap that we cannot even comprehend of what that would look like. So the first step is to actually start creating a narrative, creating a story. What would that look like? What would I want that to look like? Without holding on that this is the story it actually needs to be now. There's so many manifestation tricks out there right now that I'm just getting to discover so much about how these manifestation tricks are actually a brain game. Yes, we can think about something, we can manifest something, and all of those things. And I have manifested a lot of things that I said I want in this way, and then they came in that way, and I'm like, no, no, not that way. I actually meant this. But this is never a thing. This is a feeling. This is what is inside of us that we want more of. More joy, more laughter, more care, more whatever it might be. Every time I actually wanted to manifest, I was not manifesting from feeling, but I was manifesting from this is the way it needs to look like. And then, and only then can I feel joy, or only then can I feel this way. And then when it came, I was like, oh, I don't feel that joy that I thought that I would feel. Or I'm actually dismissing the thing that I said I wanted. And then I look up and I look at my guides and I'm like, you know what? You guys are brilliant. Like, I'm going to show you what you think you need so that you actually give up on this idea that you have figured it out. And you actually start writing from this lens of curiosity. You know, I would feel really good when my life is looking like this, feeling like this, or better than. I'm not against manifestation at all. Yet I feel that when we get so directed to a specific scenario and that scenario comes to be, we sometimes get disappointed. Or we are happy for a little period of time and then get disappointed. So instead of narrowing it specifically for you as this is what needs to be, just close the gap of curiosity. I feel this way when I'm having my heavy backpack. I feel this way when the backpack isn't there. When you put both ends on how you're feeling, gap is already shortened. Versus when I put my backpack down, it needs to be this way, this way, this way. And only then can I do this, this, and this. And only then can I feel this, this, and this. So just go back. With my heavy backpack, I feel these things. Without my heavy backpack, I want to feel this. That closes the loop of the difference right now. and allows you to focus on the feeling that you're trying to get back to. And it's in my humble experience that the feelings that we're seeking outside of us actually live inside of us. When we want joy, we can put on our favorite song and bring that joy out. But then we're like, but this is not what I want. I want someone to enjoy it with me. But this is not what I like because I wanted this too. When we can evoke that emotion in the way that we are capable of receiving it right now, we can grow it and create more abundance in it. But when we dismiss that these small moments of joy will lead me to the big moment of joy, you'll never get to the big moment of joy. You actually get to learn that that big moment of joy is only dependent on something or someone else. Love every single version of yourself. The version that accepted the not so great things, the version that stands up for herself or himself now, and every single version in between. Your life journey is specifically your life journey because that's the lens it was put on. But you hold the power to change that lens. You hold the power to say, judgment down, curiosity on. Curiosity down, joy on. Joy down, humility on. Whatever it is that you want to look through. When I'm in a situation that I don't like, I sometimes put on the goggles of humility to see the things that are happening around me with more love, with more care, and then to see where things will lead us, because that is power. That is truthfully power. You are that power, my dear. Trust that every single version of you held its purpose. Love it. Give it the grace it requires. And then move forward with more grace for yourself and a lighter backpack because those emotions of the past are not serving you. When you want to learn how to put that backpack down, reach out. I'll be honored to guide and to receive the guidance because I'm saying I guide, but I truthfully don't guide. I am guided. I'm that vessel that has says yes to service. Thank you for spending your time here. Sharing your reflections in the comments or passing this conversation along helps this space reach people who are looking for support and don't always know where to turn. Take a breath as you transition back into your day and notice what's present now. I'll meet you again next week.